If you've been trout fishing for any amount of time, you're certainly going to notice that there's different types of people and personas that are out there. And once you go out there enough, you can kind of group them together. And what I did today, I was at work and I was thinking, what are these different types of groups of trout fishermen? Who are they, and how they think and act, and how do you recognize them? So let's go through the different types of people you're going to see when you go trout fishing. So this should be something that's pretty fun. The first one that you're going to see is, of course, the power bait fisherman. This is the classic, right? The power bait fisherman is a person who is really out there to go and bring fish home for dinner. They find a hole, they park themselves usually as close to the parking lot as possible, usually next to a hole, and they don't move. The depth of their fishing expertise is which color and which flavor power bait is the best, and the bigger the ball, the better. They'll just lunk that in with the weight right in the middle of the hole, wait till the fish gut hooks themselves, they'll reel it in, and they'll take it home. Well, I'm sure a lot of us have used power bait at some point. Some people stop here. This is all they want to do. This is trout fishing. This is the life they live. And this is usually the crowd that shows up the very first and second week of the trout fishing season. They follow the stocking schedules religiously, and they stick mostly to ponds and creek areas right where they stock them, right where they dump the fish off the truck, and that's what they're after. They want to fill the fridge and cook those trout up. And once you get later in the season, you're going to see less and less of these folks. The next type of trout fisherman that you're going to see is the spinning rod fisherman. So the vibe here is that they're practical, they're seasoned, they're methodical. Their philosophy is toss and retrieve. We're going to cover some water. If you can quote them on anything, it'd be, if they're here, I'll find them. Well, I'm usually in this category. I love to cover a lot of water. The spinning fisherman is going to be slightly more advanced. They're going to try different lures. They're going to have tactics. But usually spinning rod fishermen stick to a couple different tactics, a couple different baits. They're slightly adventurous. They'll explore, but they're also going to follow this trout stocking schedules for the big old rainbows. The next type of trout fisherman that you're going to see is, of course, the fly rod fisherman. And this one's got a bit of a aesthetic to it, right? You think fly fisherman, and you think of someone who's a purist. They think of fishing as a poetic experience, slightly elitist is a term that I've heard more than once before, if we're being kind. The philosophy that they have is that the presentation is what it's all about. It's not about catching fish. It's about matching the hatch. It's about being on the water. It's the art of the cast. It's about matching what the fish are after, whether it's topwater, dry fly fishing, or nymphing. They are really into the art of the sport. Even if they don't catch fish or big fish, they're okay with it. The next type of trout fisherman that you're going to see out there is the backpack trout bum. And the vibe here is that they're minimalist, they're rugged, they're a loner. The philosophy they have is the more remote, the better, and the more rewarding of an experience it is. They're going to be the ones that trek 5 miles into a mountain to go after the wild brookies. Nothing wrong with that. And for these types of trout fishermen, the less people I see, the better. And I've definitely fallen into this group myself. And the next one that we're going to talk about is the influencer angler. This has become more and more common with great camera technology and with phones and everything, and the art of sharing your catch. They're very savvy, right? They're always geared up and technical. Typically, they don't take a picture and a video of a fish. They think, did it ever happen? That's the philosophy here. They're going to be really into not just going for the experience and to unwind, but to try and share it with themselves, with their others, with family, and to build some notoriety around what they're doing. There's nothing wrong with that, right? I also take videos of when I go trout fishing. I'm sure you do too. but some people take it a little bit too far. And of course, a classic persona that we see out there is the old school bait dunker. This is the classic old man image of if it ain't broke, you don't fix it. There's a couple baits that they stick with, and that's what they're going to go with. They have usually a big old bobber that might be slightly smaller than a basketball, and they know what's worked, and they're really not going to budge off of that. They're using minnows, they're using worms, they're using waxworms, they're using mealworms, and live bait is just the name of the game for them. That's what they started with, and that's what they're going to end with. And we cannot forget the hatch geek. This is the professorial trout fisherman. This is someone who's all about studying the bugs, going through the leaves, going through the rocks, seeing exactly what the hatch is, knowing the Latin name for the hatch, and being able to tie their own flies to match the species of bug that they see for the trout. It's a good strategy, but still, it's one that kind of it's interesting, to say the least. And then, of course, we have the classic family dad fisherman. This is the guy who still tries to get out there, albeit with a couple of kids, also guilty. And it's not really technical, right? They're out there trying to catch fish. If a trout happens to come along their way, they're fine with that. It's about making memories with the kids, with the family, usually using live bait, using power bait, usually lots of tangles along the way. So that's the type of people that you're going to see when you go trout fishing. So my question for you is, which persona are you? What type of trout fisherman are you? Did we capture these characters correctly? What did we get? What did I get right? What did I get wrong? And who else am I missing here?